We are here with 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney. Ryan, I mean, we got to talk about Bowman Gray. We got to talk about Daytona. But first of all, I doubt you're sick of talking about your Buckeyes at this point.
Yeah, I'm excited for the season, but yeah, it was awesome to see, the Buckeyes get the national championship. It was a great game. They had me nervous there for a little while, end of the third, through the fourth. But yeah, being from up in that area, I root for them, just being hometown and state where I was born. And so that was great. But, it was neat to see Notre Dame in it, right? A team that
Yeah,
has so much history as well. I really like their coach, and I think they're going to do great things too. But was happy the Buckeyes could get this one.
it was a lot to celebrate for you for the last couple months. Congrats on the wedding. I got to ask, what's more nerve-wracking, waiting for her to walk down the aisle or bearing down on those last 20 laps to win a series title a couple of years ago?
I gotta say that the wedding was more nerve-wracking than anything. Yeah, like just the anticipation of, her walking down the aisle and seeing her for the first time that day. Like we didn't do a first look or anything. And so because we wanted that moment to be special. And so yeah, I was super nervous. And then, right, your wife appears and it's just like, floodgates let loose, right? I mean, you wake up to this person every morning, but not in that setting, and understanding, that you're going to spend the rest of your lives together. And so that was really special. We were really excited to be able to bring together our friends and family, for that special night, and we appreciate everyone being there. So that was fun to plan, but it goes by super quick. Like it's here and gone. We planned this thing for a year, and you put a lot of time and effort in it. And I mean, everything went great until plan, but boom, it's over. And you're like, oh, okay, well, what's the next steps here? But it was fantastic, and yeah, definitely more nervous in that situation than racing. So,
Wedding over race, professional husband answer just a couple months in. Well done.
right.
But Bowman Gray, what are you just looking forward to about this weekend?
Well, I'm excited that we're going to Bowman Gray. I thought the Coliseum was great for a few years. And the Clash is perfect to move it around. You can move it around to different venues. That is the great race. You can do that. So I raced at Bowman Gray when I was, I think, 10. So
Yeah.
it's been a couple decades since I've been out there. I went and watched a couple races, through the years as a fan. But and I kind of grew up in High Point, so that triad area of Winston and High Point, Greensboro. So I've spent a lot of time in that area, and so it'd be nice to go back. And I think that what I saw is the Cup Series hasn't been there in like 50 years or something.
Yeah.
So the fans up there, they're really passionate about motorsports. So I'm just excited to go and excited to go to new places. I think we go to a lot of, the same places every year. And NASCAR does a good job of venturing out, right? Like, North Wilkesboro, Mexico City, Chicago Street Race. But to go back to a place where we haven't been to in a handful of decades, I think that's going to be great. And I hope the fans enjoy it. It's going to be a heck of a show. When you try to put that many cars on a little tiny short track like that, is always going to be excitement no matter where you look. And I think that's going to be a good part. So hopefully I'm ahead of all the chaos that might ensue. But you're going to have your work cut out for you really the whole night, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, you and your dad have connected, with small town tracks. And what is it like to be at places like that? That just is a unique experience.
Yeah, I mean, our sport is, really great as we touch a lot of different parts of the country. And you get to see the people around those areas, all types of fans are different, right? And that is like their track, right? No matter where they go each year. Like everyone has a home track that they love to visit and see. So it's always kind of refreshing when we can go to different places like this. As a driver, standpoint, obviously new tracks, but the atmosphere around these new tracks that we go to is great as well. We feed off of that through the weekend. This place is so small, you'll be able to see everything during the race, right? A lot of the big tracks you go, right? You're kind of separated from the fans as opposed to like, basketball or football, baseball, where the fans are right there and you're kind of feeding off the crowd noise and energy. We don't have that in the cars, right? You don't hear it. But Bowman Gray is so tiny and compact that you're going to be able to see it, while you're out there running. So I think it's cool that we go to new places. And that's the beauty of motorsports and NASCAR in general.
You kind of mentioned it, quarter mile. This place can be a madhouse. What do you think it's going to be like out there with all those cup cars running around
Yeah, I
a
mean,
college football field?
yeah, it's I mean that place is just so unique, right? It's iconic. Um, it's like a kind of a mini Bristol style, with Bristol's a whole way around the track of grandstands, but this is, three-quarters of the way around the racetrack. And it's half the size of Bristol. So yeah, I mean, you're going to expect a lot of contact. I mean, that's just the way that place is. When you get a small place like that and you go put 20 plus cars on it, there's going to be people kind of beating and banging. But that's what that place is known for, right? And it's how do you manage, the race, and how do you manage, you're going to be getting run over from behind. You're probably going to have to be aggressive with some guys, especially if you're racing for the win. So, but at the same time, it's like, all right, this is an exhibition race. Do you really want to tick people off before the year gets started? So it's like balancing those emotions. I think everybody understands what it is, right? Like I feel like if you race hard with people and maybe you rough a couple guys up or you and a guy get into it, I don't really think there's ever any hurt feelings on that in this race. You just kind of understand that, hey, this is short track racing and it is what it is, and it's entertaining for everybody, and that's what everyone grew up on, was these short tracks and contact. But you're going to see a lot of fireworks in the air and probably on the track Sunday night.
So you go from Bowman Gray, a couple of weeks later, you go down to Daytona. I mean, your resume already speaks for itself. Series champion, Coke 600, All Star race, all the wins you've accumulated already. Everybody wants the 500. It's a difference between wanting it and actually having everything fall into place. So, like, what have you learned over the years of like what actually needs to happen to win that thing?
Yeah, I mean, the number one is just making it to the end, and that's kind of task number one. I've been really close to that race a few times. I look back at, the years I've run there, and I've, been in position to probably win three of them, and it just hadn't really worked out. And it's just hard to do it. It's just super hard to have a great night, survive the whole night, and then also be in a spot to win the race at the end of these 500 miles. And it's really tough, but that's what everybody's position is. So it's just how do you do it better than the other guys, and how do you try to outlast people and then outduel them at the end of the night. So everyone knows what you're going for. Every driver, every person on your team understands what the Daytona 500 means, and everyone wants their name on that trophy, right? Because that's just cemented in history. So, and I grew up watching Dad run the 500 every single year. So, at a young age, I understood how special it is, and the atmosphere Sunday morning and leading up to the race is unlike anything I've ever been a part of. Just the people that show up, the people that camp for a week straight in the infield, that are there for a good time with their family and to watch an event, that means a lot. It really puts it into perspective of how much, this race is meant to a lot of people. And yeah, so been close, just got to try to survive at number one, and then you never know, you might have a shot at it at the end of the day.
Between this weekend and Daytona, there's the Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Uptown. I mean, I kind of mentioned it, and I know you're going to be humble about it. You're 31. You've checked a lot of boxes in this sport. Do you ever allow yourself to think like, one day I think I'll be there?
Oh no, I don't even think about that. I actually I had the pleasure of sitting in on the panel. The recent champion gets to sit in on the voting panel. So I got to do that, at the end of 23, start of 24. And that was a really unique experience, to sit in the room with all those great men and women. And decide, okay, who is going to go into the hall. That is just was such a cool experience to me, to be able to vote and have your input on here's why I think this person deserves to be in, and to kind of hear the arguments of everybody else of, I think this person should be in or this. And but yeah, I don't think about that, right? I'm just trying to do the best I can now, and if down the road, whenever I'm done, and maybe it'll happen, but it's not something I expect, or it's not something I really think about. It's just I love seeing who goes in it every year, because I grew up watching these great racers or people who are part of these teams, that crew chiefs or engineers, people who have made a huge difference in the sport, even off the track, to be able to be recognized, and it just really sums up their work. And I don't think any of them ever thought about it, when they were currently working in it, right? So you just put the work in and you see what happens later on in your life.
Wrap it up with this 2023 champ. right there towards the end last year. We kind of learned the last few years about, hey, we start in February. This thing goes all the way in November. What does the approach have to be right now as you enter the season?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be in it for the long haul, right? I mean, it's a long year. I'm really happy with, especially the last 2 years with our group on the 12 team of just our resilience through the year. Through 23 of getting to where we needed to be at a great time, and then performing and executing and not making mistakes in the playoffs, and then, stepping up when it mattered. And we had a great shot to go back to back in 24, just came up one spot short. And Penske's been on a heck of a run. I mean,
Yeah.
three in a row for Roger and all those folks that are involved. That's a huge deal to them, and it's not just the drivers, it's hundreds of other people that are involved that makes it possible. And they're never satisfied, whether you're a part of a team that's won three in a row, or you've never won championships. They're just as hungry as on each side of it. So it's a cool group to be a part of. So hopefully, all I can ask for is just to make another run, and hey, try to stay hot all year. And even if you do get down, like, this sport's a big roller coaster. You're going to have your ups to where it's going great, seems like nothing can go wrong, and then you're going to have your down moments of, okay, how do we dig out of this hole? Like, things aren't going our way. We're not as fast as we want to be. How do we get better? And our team just never got down about, if we were in the down spots, you just try to figure out how to inch your way back up. So I love this group for that reason, because they just always want to improve. And yeah, it'd be nice to win a second one, and just try to keep performing like we have the last couple of years. That's really all I can ask for. And if it happens, it happens. If not, at least we know that we gave it our all.
Right. I guess it starts with trying not to tick anybody off too much at Bowman Gray, man. Good
Yeah,
luck.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It should be a fun one this weekend, though.